Welcome everybody to the second session of our 22nd Town Hall, July 2024. Summer here, getting some nice warm weather. Hope you're all well. Nice to have you here. Today we're going to be chatting about docs and how we can improve generally the experience for agencies using the platform and getting the most out of it. So jumping into the agenda, focusing on the documentation to start with, things like videos and tutorials as well, trying to show you where we've got to at this stage so that we can get some helpful feedback to make sure we get it right. It's quite a big undertaking, so we might want to make sure we go the right direction with it and take on any feedback as we go. And then we'll have a quick look at sort of how we can sort of help with engagement within the community, look at what more we can do in Discord, what video sessions we can do, and anything to aid really. Then we'll have a quick look at the current roadmap. It's what we showed last time, which was probably April, with a couple of extras on there and just sort of being clear on what we're focusing on, just to make sure that we've got the right, most important things on the list. And then lastly, we'll have a look at the module updates we mentioned by email and Discord last week related to Google change. So just making sure that you're aware of that and have made any updates to sites that you need to, or ask any questions. And then finally, as always, open the floor to questions and yeah, talk about anything Siteglide or web related. Cool. So I'll just jump into it. We'll try and go through this and then have a general chat about it all. We found on session one, we ended up sort of talking about all kinds of different things really related to docs and that kind of stuff. So feel free to jump in with any questions. So yeah, this was what we showed last time, where we're trying to show a picture of where we want to get to with docs, and we really want it to be a very consolidated one place to have all of the docs, but also then integrate it into the product. So this shows you on the right hand side, you'd be able to see sort of guides and docs related to the area of the product that you're in. So we call it in context docs. That's something we really want to get to. This is more sort of phase 2, and I'm going to show you where we are at the moment and what we're focused on. So the vision and where we are right now is moving everything to this one sort of central location for docs. So AI powered for search and just really interactive and one place to go. So currently we've got too many different sources and they all require maintenance and linking. And I think it'll just be much better, much easier to have everything in one place. I'll show you where we're up to in a second. We'll have a look through it and get any feedback and discuss ideas. And then just to give you an idea of what we want to do on top of that, we want to make sure that we've got some really, really good sort of step-by-step guides. I'll show you an example of one we've done and some videos to go alongside that as well. So whether that's quick, short videos of a certain feature or full sort of tutorials and guides. I did do one last week on the sort of Flowbyte template setup process. It's worth having a look at that and giving us any feedback on where we could improve. And then we'd like to do more sort of live and recorded sessions. So Town Hall is a great example, but I think it's only one type. It can be quite sort of set and rigid. It's only a certain time and only certain topics that we sort of plan ahead for. It'd be nice to have some completely different types of sessions, whether it's specific workshops and technical sessions. It might be sort of agency focused sessions of how to pitch Siteglide versus other platforms, all sorts of content that I would like to make sure we get up and running and just run it in a really easy way. So linking on to community sessions, we ran our first Discord session last month where it wasn't recorded and they were just sessions within Discord where you can just join and chat about all sorts of topics, and it worked really well. It felt a little more, everybody felt they could engage a little bit more, I think, because it's not quite as rigid and formal as a town hall. So yeah, looking at how we can do more of those and any ideas that you have to add to it. And then the last two agency sessions, that's where you can book like a one-to-one between your agency and us, where we can talk through specific features that you're looking for, specific projects that you might be struggling with, or just generally having an update on how you can get the most out of the platform. So I'm always keen to jump on those calls, and if we need somebody technical on there, I can grab Matt Jones or Matt Walter most likely, and bring one of those two along. And then lastly, linking Site Gurus into all of this. So I think Site Gurus fits through all of these types really. Just making sure that we provide good content and assistance for things like Site Builder, how to use that effectively, generally getting the most out of the platform, and obviously any other products that Site Gurus have released, such as the backups tool, Site Gurus Protect. So yeah, we just want to make sure that there's good content and regular assistance if needed. Yeah, so I think those are the main things really. It's a bit fluid. I can show you where we are with the docs. I think that's what we'll do next. But in terms of how we run the different types of sessions and formats, we'll probably just keep trying things and see what sticks and get feedback from you guys. So any questions before we jump into the where we are with the new docs? Okay, let's just jump.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah, sure.
Are you gonna open access to any of the docs for the step-by-steps or any of the other guides before, as you're developing them?
Yep, it's already live, and I want to show it to you guys today so that you're more familiar with it and you can use it. Because the best, rather than us hide it all away and then show it and then sort of get some feedback, we'd rather people start using it now. It's valuable, and it's just going to be far better to get feedback as we go. So yes, definitely, it's already
Fantastic. I'll be
live.
quiet then.
No, not
Get
at
on
all.
with it. Thank
It's a
you.
good question.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I hoped would be the case. That while it's not ideal having two different places, but while we've already got a few different places anyway, we might as well have the preferred one that we want to keep building and improving. And hopefully you'll find yourself there more and more and not needing to go back to the old docs, which will hopefully have fully removed within, I'll say, weeks. Don't know exactly how many, but not too far away.
Okay. Super. Thanks.
No problem. I'll just jump across to the current docs, the new docs, sorry. So let's just cover what we've got. So we've currently got help.siteglide.com, which is our sort of user-friendly docs. It's sort of helping with the platform, less technical documentation really, of just sort of getting started and how to use the product. The problem is that then when you want to do something a little bit more complex, you have to go to developer docs, and we've had to try and link everything up and explain when to go to one and when to go to the other. And it's just, it's not the right way of doing things, and we want to consolidate. Finally, we've got another set of docs, which is for Site Builder and Site Gurus related content. So it just doesn't make sense to have all three. So we have replaced these two with our new docs. They are in beta technically, but there'll be plenty of parts of it that are an improvement and more up to date than the old docs. This is what we're working on now, and we'll keep going until we can fully replace the other two or three even. So you'll see it looks quite similar. It's a platform for managing documentation, but what's really good about this approach is it's all built into GitHub. So it's just versioned from GitHub. And what that means is that if we want to, well, we do, we can then take that content from GitHub and push it into the product. So a bit like that screen I showed earlier, you'll be able to see the documentation and search for it within the product, and it will all be up to date and synced because it's all managed from GitHub using version control. So this is just a nice output and easy way of using it. There are some nice tools within here that I think will prove helpful and worth using this version, but obviously having it within the product and in context will also be really valuable. So a couple of things to mention, just quickly looking at the left-hand side first. We've tried to organize everything into sort of feature-based hierarchy. And within there, we've used these icons to try and show what type of documents they are. So I think it's quite helpful to be able to switch between, sort of know that you're going into a sort of information doc, which is the light bulb, versus a sort of step-by-step guide, which has the checklist. And there's all sorts of different types. If you're looking at referencing, for example, for just lists of commands that you can use, then it'll have the eyes look up. Yeah, so all you need to do is go to docs.siteglide.com. It is live and it is in use. There are certain things that we'd recommend going here for. Matt Jones and I have worked quite hard in the last couple of weeks on a guide for getting started with CLI and Tailwind and Flowbyte templates. So if we just scroll down a bit, there's a section on that. That's quite a lot in here. We'll look at search in a minute to save you having to know where everything is. But if we just jump down here to Site Builder themes, we've then got steps to set up Tailwind CSS with Siteglide CLI from a Flowbyte site template. So you can go to Marketplace, you can pick one of the Flowbyte templates, but a lot of people, I think, are used to Bootstrap and maybe wouldn't know how to get started with this and maybe haven't done until now. So the idea of this is that from this one sort of step-by-step guide and the video that I've put in place, you should be able to pretty quickly get set up and take it from there, basically. See how far you get, and we'll do more docs and guides as we need based on feedback. But this tells you that you just go to the marketplace, you pick the template that you want to use, create the site from a template, and then various steps through the process to get everything set up. And I'll be doing more and more videos of tutorials, features, that kind of stuff, just to really help make the process simpler. So hopefully this is gives a good idea of sort of what's to come. There'll be very different types of content in the docs, and we want to do some really quick reference content, but also some really in-depth guides so that you know exactly what to do step by step. Any questions immediately? I'll assume we'll talk about it at the end, but do jump in if you think there's something relevant. So I think the next thing I'll show is how you would find this without knowing exactly where it was in this long list. And that's one of the features that to be honest, we're sort of still getting used to and trying to optimize. So if we just go back to the homepage, the welcome page, and then in the top right, if you go ask or search, there's lots of different things that you can sort of do here. You might search for Flowbyte, for example, because I know that what I want to do is something related to Flowbyte, and then that will give you some answers, and that will just find documents with the word Flowbyte in it. That's a normal kind of search. It's sort of what you would expect with titles and then sort of content, different articles within it. Now, it gets a bit cleverer, and this is where the AI comes in to help you create an answer based on a question. So if we say, I'll try and remember one of the ones I did just to make sure. As we know, like AI is only as good as the content that you put in. It uses the information in the docs. So it is literally working from the articles that we've got. So I'll just show a few examples quickly. So how do I add custom fields to forms? And you'll see here that it says ask, and I've written so many words that it didn't have any articles to show because it's too specific. So what you actually do instead is you ask the question, and then it will obviously read through the docs and work out the best sort of answer for that question. I'm not sure why that one stopped there, actually. Oh, there we go. It's carrying on. Having a little think about it. So this will generate an answer for you. It's hopefully will be exactly what you wanted and give you a step-by-step guide, collating information from different sources perhaps. But if not, you can always come down to the bottom and it will generally list some other questions that might be helpful. And it will also show you the source of of where it found it. So using this to find the template guide that we were just looking at, I would say, how do I set up the Flowbyte template? I haven't actually tested this exact phrase, but so it's going to tell me how to do it. So saying that I would go to Marketplace, it's exactly the same content, but it's trying to put it out in a more in a sort of clearer answer, I guess, to the specific question. It's going to tell you all the different things to do. apologies for the jumping around. We have sort of looked at whether the partner we use for this can help with it, and they're going to see if they can improve it. But most importantly, once you can either read all of those, or you can come down to the bottom and see the sources again. So that will that bottom one there. If I click it, I'll take us back to that doc that I scrolled to earlier. So again, it's work in progress. We'll have to sort of see how things go and get feedback from you guys. But if you start using it, if you notice anything that seems a little strange, let us know. Or if you notice something that you think could be improved in terms of the structure, we're very keen to get feedback. But we're pretty confident this will be a big improvement on the quality of the docs, how to find the specific information you need, how we can keep it up to date and build on it and add to it. I want to make sure that there's regular content going live weekly in terms of either guides or things that you can do. It might be specific ways that you can customize on top of Siteglide using GraphQL, perhaps. There'll be things that we can keep adding rather than just feature-related docs. So, yeah.
Just a little thing. A great job on the AI implementation. I love that. Just a little thing on the menu on the left. You think it would make sense to make the submenus collapsible?
Yeah, so this is using a tool called Gitbook. Gitbook is more for us at the back end, to be honest. It allows us to sort of manage all of the content here. So we have only so much control of their front end, but the beauty of it is it's hooked up to GitHub, and then we can do whatever we want to it when we put it into our own interface. So I think we might be a little bit limited on how this works at the moment, but the primary goal at the moment is to get the content in, get it right, and then we can start looking at doing our own in-context docs and our own UI if we need to. But I'll have a look. I do agree. It would make a lot more sense if you don't have to scroll.
It's a long menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really tricky one in terms of how we should structure it. There's no real right answer here, I don't think. Whether you do it feature-based or whether you do it sort of user type based, there are sort of folders and drop downs. If we go back down to the one we were just looking at, all of that was closed up. So it can be done.
Yeah.
It just might mean that you have an extra level that perhaps we don't think we should include. So yeah, very helpful feedback. We'll see whether we can do that.
No, it's all good, all good. I understand that when you use this, it's not so easy, and the focus should be on different things. Just like was just a little comment. It's like hard to do this. It's hard work. I realize that's fantastic what you're doing there.
The perfectionist in me did not want to use a third party. I wanted us to just do everything from scratch, but it would mean that we don't actually get you the content quickly enough and focus our time in the right places. So I think this gives us the tools that we need. It gives a good output, and then we'll improve the integration and that side of things as we go.
Yeah.
A couple of extra features that kind of meant that their version was a better place to start was obviously the AI search. That's their feature, and I think it will prove useful. We can also use that AI search in the front end implementation as well. Sorry, when we put it into the product, we'll be able to kind of use that that tool. A couple of other things, sort of being able to rate it. I think that will be helpful if you guys can give us feedback on what's working and what's not. Another one is that you can, in theory, collaborate on it. So you can suggest changes via GitHub. Now, I think for some people that's probably maybe a bit too time consuming and complicated. So what we will say is for now, just throw things at us in Discord in the docs channel, and we'll just make updates or additions there. So we're very happy to do that, and I think that's probably the easiest thing for now. But we will look at whether it's easy for you guys to sort of collaborate on the docs if you want to. Yeah, I think that probably covers a lot of it. I definitely would check out the top half is the bit that we've been working on the most at the moment. So these kind of guides and anything with an icon showing has been worked on and improved from the old version. So yeah, I'd recommend just checking it out. If you haven't checked out the Flowbyte template before, then probably worth having a quick watch of this video and see whether you think it's appropriate. My personal view is, well, let's explain it this way. I've decided that while I know the product well, I haven't always been at the rock face in terms of the development. So I do want to make sure that I can do everything that I'm talking about, or everything that you guys are doing day in, day out. So I've been getting really in at the deep end, getting CLI set up, getting Tailwind set up, and building out sites or working with sites using this template. And it's enabled me to see some improvements we can make, but it's also enabled us to make the docs as simple as possible and make these guides usable for anybody. If I can do it, then I think most people should be able to, I would hope. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. I'm going to be working with, I want to be making sure that I'm simplifying getting started with GraphQL, for example. I think a lot of people don't look at that for quite a while using the product because it's just another language. It's maybe something a bit, sort of stay away from. Whereas actually it makes it incredibly powerful to be able to get behind the scenes, behind the UI, and do your own custom development. So I want to make sure that we make that simpler as well through these kind of guides and videos. Right, I've said quite a bit. Any other feedback specifically on docs, or if not, we might move on. So, any questions?
I just want to back up a little bit and echo off Tillman's comment about the menu on the left, which I know is, it's kind of a small thing, but on the other hand, trying to navigate through all that quickly, I'm just wondering if you have enough easy control, if you could just increase the font size for those headings that are all in caps, leave them all in caps, so that it visually organizes a little. I mean, at the top, it's pretty easy to see the sections that you've nicely organized things into. But as you get down toward the bottom, and because I'm on the site right now and I'm scrolling through it and I'm going, what? Now, where was I? And I just I want to use this a lot because I need this and I love it. I love that you're doing this and using AI in the way that you're headed toward. I think it's going to be incredibly valuable for those of us who are not full-on developers and need.
Good.
I can do anything if I can find step-on-step instructions, but if not, then I can spend many frustrating hours searching through documents and then not find an answer. So kudos to you guys for taking this on.
That's really good to hear. Rox said a similar thing in the first session, and it's very good to hear. Obviously, it's something that we wish was in place already, but it's the most important thing is identifying it and knowing that it's actually a valuable thing to spend our time on. So yeah, great to hear. And we're going to make sure we do make it really easy for you guys to use and get the most from.
I mean, I'm ecstatic actually. So yay.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you plan to use Flowbyte and this template, but this is just the first of many tutorials that we want to do. And I think it makes getting started so much easier than it was before. I mean, to be honest, before I did this video, I tried to get started with this particular process and struggled. So we know that we haven't always made things easy, and we made things flexible, we made things powerful, but we haven't always made it easy. And that's what we want to do next. So I definitely recommend giving this process a go and seeing how you get on.
Okay, super.
Good. Yeah, thank you. It's quite a bit of work. So it's obviously really good to know that we're actually going in the right direction and not spending time in the wrong places. So very helpful feedback. Good. Okay. I don't think there's anything else on docs specifically to go into. It's going to evolve, and we're going to see what types of content to focus on the most, and the best way to do that is with feedback. So yeah, do have a play around and let us know. I'll refer back to sort of maybe some of the things we did right in the old version, and see whether we can yeah, put those in place, and you know, the suggestions you've made as well. Good. Okay, so switching back then, please do jump in if any of you have any questions, but we'll just quickly cover off roadmap and module updates. So roadmap, this is very similar, as I mentioned, to the April town hall. So in April, we sort of summarized all the different feedback we've had on what to really focus on this year. And these are the main ones that seem to stick in terms of what people need the most. One that Tim actually kind of brought to the table as an idea was the admin panel customization, being able to control the left hand side, and it's something I've said a few times I've always wanted, but the doors that it opens in terms of what you can do with Siteglide, you could lock it down to just be a CRM or just be a certain type of product. So we're really keen to bring that in, and we got very positive feedback from everybody that we spoke to about last time on that one. And then probably more feature improvements, so capabilities enabling you to do an extra dimension with the specification of a site, let's say. So categories, being able to like add custom fields and then make the management of categories far easier with drag and drop is something we really want to do. That would enable you to run menus, for example, far more easily with dynamic content and have it auto update. There's all sorts of things you could do with those extra features. And then just generally adding custom fields throughout the products. So there are just a few places where they're sort of missing, and we want to add those in and give you those extra features. The site builder update for building modules, it's only really relevant if you are building modules, but it'll just make the process so much easier. You'll be able to use site builder blocks and code to build out a repeatable module. Then we've got e-commerce, discount codes on specific products and categories. So there's a couple of e-commerce things we've been working on recently. We've done 4 decimal places on tax and a few other updates. DJ, I think we've been working on one with you recently, or the last few days as well. So we're going to make sure that you can add discount codes on specific products and categories, which again opens up opportunities. And then lastly, the new addition to the list is Zapier. We want to, there's been some issues with Zapier in terms of the reconnection. It's sort of been making you reconnect to the auth side of things. And it's a bit of it's one of those frustrating bugs where you can't always, it's intermittent, so we can't find exactly what's causing it where. So we've always had a plan to improve or add a completely different way of running our Zapier integration. So it currently runs off Zapier just sort of waits for data to be sent to it. And the better way of doing it is what they call instant zaps. So that's where you push data. So we're going to look at doing it that way, so that we push data to Zapier and Zapier pushes data to Siteglide. That will be more powerful and more reliable. So that's one we want to focus on to partly overcome the reconnection issues and also make it more powerful at the same time. I said quite a bit again. Any particular questions on these items or roadmap in general?
Yeah, I have a question about the Zapier thing, which I'm so glad to know that it's not just me, because I've had so many of those come disconnected, and I tried to find some information from them and it was vague. So my question, however, is, so you mentioned you're going to push the data back to Siteglide. Is that going to affect, you know, how much data and, you know, since you're charging for storage, how is that going to impact the cost of the site hosting then?
It shouldn't have any difference, any change to what you're currently doing. It's just the way it works with the data. So if you're already, say, updating, well, if you're pushing data from one system to another through Zapier, it will be doing the same thing. It's just it will be doing it on event rather than just waiting and doing it on a time basis. So yeah, it's definitely something you still need to be factoring in terms of total usage and what you're using the product for. But I wouldn't have thought the changes we're talking about would affect usage directly.
Oh, so the data won't stay on Siteglide. It's just going to get passed through a different mechanism
Well,
from one place to another. Is
it
that
depends what
you
you it depends what you're using Zapier for. So in most cases, people I would have thought tend to use it to send data from Siteglide to somewhere else. So in that case, the data you have in the platform is obviously the total usage is added up. But unless you're sending a whole load of data from another platform into Siteglide, it's not Zapier is not really going to affect your usage. And if you're already doing that, then you're probably already incurring that usage anyway.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you for clarifying.
I hope that answers the question. We're just
Yeah.
improving the way it will work, but yeah, definitely need to sort of keep usage in mind if you're working with sort of big volume of data.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
I mean, in some cases, you might find that you use Zapier to reduce usage. So you might actually store inquiries or orders in Siteglide for a period of time and then back them up somewhere else and eventually remove them. That's totally up to you. You might use it for that reason.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Sorry. There we go. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else related to usage on that one. Any other questions at all? Trying to think if there's anything else we mentioned in the first meeting. We found that each town hall this year we've got progressively less sort of requests in terms of roadmap, which I mean, this morning we sort of found that everybody said this list is great, and that's probably one of the first times in quite a few years that we've got to that point, and hopefully that's a good thing. I think that's the only way we can really see it. Is it's good to know that we obviously listened a lot in January. We've got a whole list of things together, put it all in the melting pot, and came up with what people seem to think was most important. And it's good to know that a lot of the things that you're trying to do are already possible, and we can hone in on a list of 6 things to really work on. That gives us a lot of focus, which is great. It means that we can actually get on with them, and it hopefully means nobody's stuck waiting for too many features. Obviously, there will be other things. There will be things that come along. There will be little things here and there that we're already talking to different people about, and we'll already make sure that we carry on with those and get those done. But it's nice to know that there's not too many sort of burning issues, I guess. Good. Okay. Well, if you think of anything else, do jump in and ask away. So the last thing I wanted to cover before we sort of open the floor to any other questions was just making sure that everybody's aware of this, the sort of important module updates, especially following Google's changes related to polyfill.js. If you're hopefully you're aware because we sent out the information about it, but effectively there's that file polyfill.js is a script that Google is now not happy with from a security perspective. I believe it's related to it being owned by a Chinese company and Google just saying there's a security vulnerability. It was only really used to support Internet Explorer 11. And the kind of argument nowadays is if you're supporting old browsers, it's not really security is not top of your list if you're using an old browser. So it's actually better to remove any potential risks and get people to focus on having an up-to-date browser. So yeah, the update is that has been removed from our scripts that we add automatically. So you just need to make sure that you've got your sites up to date. System files updates automatically when you go into the site. So when you click admin, it will automatically ensure that system files is updated. Now, that means that you should go into each of your sites and check that that's happened, but you should also probably just have a quick look at any other modules that are outdated or need to be updated. They'll show as yellow in the admin. We had a little chat about this morning, and I think might have been Steve who asked whether it can be automated, and it's obviously something that's on my mind, is that we don't want to become a platform that means that you have to spend a whole load of time managing module updates. WordPress is the one that comes to mind. You don't want to find that you're out of date and having any issues come up because of that. But having said that, we do focus on sort of giving you maximum flexibility. So we don't want to go and overwrite something that you might have done, something completely custom using GraphQL, let's say, automatically. So we do leave that to you guys at the moment to sort of keep an eye on which sites maybe you need to be a bit careful with, and just check whether you've made any custom changes. We had a talk about whether we could create a toggle to make some of it automatic, and whether for your more simple sites where you know you're not doing anything custom, whether that could just be turned on and then you don't have to worry about it. But for now, it's best just to make sure that those key modules are kept up to date. Any questions on that? It's obviously something we've sent information out about, and we just want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. And as discussed on the call earlier, everyone felt it was just a good practice thing to make sure that all the sites are up to date. Okay, well, if you have any questions at all, just do let us know. Obviously, contact us in Discord or live chat or a ticket, whatever it might be, if you're not sure. Good. Well, I think I'll stop talking. And yeah, over to you guys. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask, or anything to discuss? Okay.
All good.
Great. Cool. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. You guys get on. And yeah, we'll keep you updated via Discord and email as always. But great to meet, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Luke. Speak soon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Luke. Thanks,
No
everyone.
problem at all.
Bye.